The draft is almost here, Sixers fans, so we got to keep going through all the names on the different big boards that all the NBA insiders have linked to potentially fall into the Sixers at that number 22 spot. Let's talk about the latest of those names on this episode of Sixers Digest. What's going on, everybody? Christian Pedersen back with another episode where Sean and I are counting down the days or hours now remaining until the draft and helping you kill a little bit of that time. If you want to like, subscribe, dislike, comment, share, those are all YouTube buttons that I am required by my bosses to tell you to press. You know what to do. If you didn't stumble here randomly. You're a Sixers fan. If you want to follow along, we got daily content every day, long form, short form, everything in between. And that includes talking about this article discussing the potential for Zuby Ejiofor to be the next potential Sixers and an impact man. And look, I've said it again, and so I apologize for those of you that have watched all this consistently if I'm doing repeats or reruns here. When you're kind of into the double digits, but especially down in the lower third of the draft, and you have a new head of operations who's going to be fresh picking for the first time, it's a complete blank slate to me in terms of I don't really have like a concrete feel for A, what's like the 1, 2, 3, or B, even what's the biggest need or what's the philosophy or whatever you want to call it in terms of what Mike Yancey's going to do. So every one of these videos, I wind up by the end of the video talking myself into, oh, this is the greatest of the picks available. So drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Let's just, I guess, start with just the numbers for Ejiofor as he put up, I think, a pretty good progression over the last 2 years with Mr. Rick Pitino as he kind of part of the rebirth of St. John's. As a college basketball fan, I enjoy Rick Pitino, and I think that he has produced players that have a certain disposition, if you will. Guys that play hard, guys that know how to play a style of basketball that tends to translate pretty well into the NBA. So he's a guy that's got some curiosity around him, potentially fitting for the Sixers. The article that I was referencing there, let's start with the positives that, again, I use the air quotes because who really knows who's an NBA insider? We're all just guessing until these guys actually get out there on the court at that next level. Talking about him, that first part of emerging as a playmaker. It's a fun way to put it, if you will. The assists were nice, and I think, as like they say, I join in this analysis of a sucker for a big man who can pass the ball, and he screens, he distributes. He's a 70% career free throw shooter, and only made 31 threes in his 4 college seasons. But they don't think his shot is broken, and so everybody's going to be some sort of a project. Even the guys who are number 1 overall picks are some degree of a project. That's the concept of the way that players progress. Very few people ever show up NBA ready on game 1 at their very, very best. That being said, talked about a couple of different versions of this. Like, what do you want the project to be? Do you want to take a younger guy who it's like, okay, we got to teach him this level of the game, and we got to get him physically ready and all this, but he's only 19, so there's so much room to grow into? Do you want a little bit older guy where it's like, hey, he's handled the level of preparation and responsibility that come with NIL money and just college life and basketball and balancing all of that? Do you want somewhere in between? Do you want a foreign import? You guys all seem to have a different player that you're committed to. But if the knock is he just didn't score incredibly efficiently, but has the playmaker ability and just needs to get some time to increase and improve his shot, I kind of like that. Again, I told you I would talk myself into all of these. Let's talk about the negatives that this article had. I think they're offset. he's by this little sentence right here. He plays so hard charging offense, loose balls, fighting on every play on defense. He's a role player, but he knows it. If you got a guy who, okay, he can't shoot incredibly well, but is a brawler and is a guy who knows his role, for me, having watched the season end with the bench not delivering at all, and I guess technically you say that everybody underperformed given that we did not win the championship. So I am not here to singularly place blame on the bench, but the bench didn't come in and provide any support or any spark. And so I want to stay consistent while I do weave on some stuff. I want to stay consistent in my advocating for offense. I think you got to score, you got to score, you got to score. But if this is something where the scoring here could be generated instead of directly by his numbers, not that he's not scoring. I'll remind you, that's double-digit points maintained for 2 years of NCAA basketball. Like this is not a 2.5 points a game. Oh, but he cleans up everything else by everybody else. This is a guy that maybe just hasn't reached his peak efficiency offensively. But if he can do this while being a guy who is known already for playing hard and stepping up to fill and understand the moment of the roles that he's in, I like that. I think that there is a non-zero chance that it would seem that Paul George gets moved this offseason. Not saying it's an overwhelming chance. I've got some videos on that, but I see this linked a couple of different times, and he didn't perform up to the money that we're paying him. So what do you put it out there perfectly? Maybe a soft reset vibes, but we've got guys who are ready, I think, internally already in position to rise up to the occasion. And maybe what they need, instead of another star or a Dalen Swain or someone coming in trying to be like, oh, I'm going to grow into that. Like, maybe they just need a guy who's like, look, absolute spark plug off the bench. Get in there, play physical, dish the ball back out, create some opportunities, charge on some rebounds, and just be a max effort guy. Look, I said I acknowledge that I will talk myself into this every single time, but I could see where there's some interest there if Zuby's available. Let me know what you think. Drop a comment. Like, subscribe, dislike, all those other things. The draft is almost here, so we will soon be rid of these preview videos and get to actually start talking about what this team's going to look like. Then I think some other free agency decisions are going to be made. It's almost here, folks. Until next time, we'll talk to you soon.